Hey guys, welcome back to Vince-Vell Custom. So today I'm sharing with you a cool little project I'm working on. It's kind of like being able to utilize scraps of stuff and actually make cool things out of them. So it's trying not to waste stuff, but it's also coming up with some cool new ideas. So this right here is a Killer Frost custom statue I'm working on for someone. And this past summer I learned how to mold and cast because I'm always trying to learn and grow and try new things and just be able to do a lot of different things that I wasn't able to do before, but now I'm trying to do. So, as I was working on this project, did a lot of brainstorming with the client, and we decided, like, why don't we put ice powers in her hands? And, you know, the traditional way was, you know, I can sculpt in some ice powers, and then I could chrome it out, or I could paint it in pearls and stuff, but what about making clear resin? Now, the problem with clear resin is you can't really sculpt with clear resin. You have to actually sculpt it traditionally, and then make a mold and cast it up. So, what we did was, as you can see right here, this pink mold is the two pieces of power. So what I did was you make a two-part mold like that, and you can put in clear resin, and you can make the clear resin copies of it. So, you know, here is a ice power that I sculpted like it's like, you know, icicles coming out of the hand. So when we come up to the hand, we have the icicle powers coming out. So now, with the clear resin, once I paint up the clear resin and clear it, gloss it a little bit more, we have translucent ice powers coming out of the hand, as you can kind of see. Maybe a little blurry, but there you go. So, you know, so this is something new I'm working on. So, as I was working on clear resin pieces this summer, you know, just trying new things, I had a lot of this scrap clear resin coming out of the stuff that I was working on. And, you know, it's still good stuff to keep because you never know where you can use it. So I kept it, didn't know what I was going to do with it, so now I actually have an idea. So my idea is, I'm going to take these clear pieces, and I'm actually going to sand them up so they look like icicles like these. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on the base. But I'm not going to put them on the base where you just glue them in. What I'm going to do is probably rig up something where, you know, like right around here, I use some tape or tinfoil or something, put in this clear resin pieces, and then pour in extra clear resin, because I found out that if you use clear resin on the clear resin, like in a mold, it works out so well that you probably won't see all the little imperfections inside and stuff if you do the pressure pot. But now I won't be able to do the pressure pot with this, but I could kind of seize up all the clear. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably go into the garage next time I get a chance. I'm going to take all these clear pieces right here, and I'm going to sand them up, give them like some kind of like, you know, almost like a Superman type, you know, Fortress of Solitude type crystals. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll rig them up on the base once I get the base to where I want to put the base. And we could put in these little icicle power things, pour in some clear resin, and then paint it so it's like she's standing around some icicle power. So it's kind of like utilizing stuff that you normally would either throw out or use for filler. It's kind of an experiment. I don't know how it's going to work, but, you know, that's the fun of the hobby, trying new things and seeing what I can do. So we'll come back once I chop all these up and I get them to where I want them. The cool thing about this clear resin though stuff is, even though this is a little cloudy, when you kind of clear coat it, it actually brings out the you know, translucence a little bit better. So that's the cool thing about this clear resin. It's SmoothOn Crystal Clear 2020, I think, and really super clear stuff. But the problem is I can't do this stuff like in cold weather, even though my studio's you know, heated up. I like doing this stuff in the summertime better, because with the hot summer garage, it's like a heat box, and it just makes life easier for casting. So, like I said, this kind of opens up a whole new world to me where I can sculpt something, and then I can mold and cast it and use it for a piece. So it's kind of fun. It's good, you know, for something like this, it's really cool. Of course, you know, as I'm learning, you know, I realize that I probably use too much mold and stuff to make these pieces. But, you know, that's the cool thing about the mold is if I ever need to chop this mold up, I can use this as filler mold for the next mold I need to make. So it's kind of cool. So, you know, she's going to have two ice powers in her hands coming out, and then she'll have ice all around the base. So it kind of fit the character a lot more. So we'll be back once I get all these pieces chopped up, and we're just going to experiment and see what happens. Alright, so I'm coming up with the idea that I want to put the Batman Cowl and a cape encased in frozen cleared resin. Now, after toying with it, as you can see, she's pretty much done. But I put some pieces here just to kind of give me an idea of what I'm looking at. Now I might have to break these off, but what I'm thinking is I'm going to take this, it's a Hot Toys piece, so it's kind of, you know, a little bit smaller than the piece, but at the moment I think once it's encased it look pretty cool. So I got some leather here and I got this. I'm going to paint this black, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and put it into this tin foil. And then what I'll do is I'll take the cape, I'll tear it up a little bit and have it coming out a little bit like that. And I'll put this in a pressure pot with the clear resin, because if you just do the clear resin without the pressure pot, we'll get bubbles and everything. And then from there I could kind of sand it and chop it up, and then I can add it to the base. I would like to put this base with some stuff around it in the pressure pot, but I'm a little worried that the pressure pot will blow this base up, because I did seal this up and it's got probably some like bubbles and stuff in there, so I'm a little worried about that. But I'm thinking if I just keep taking the crystals and I'm adding them together and I use some, like, you know, clear resin just to kind of set them together, I can get a nice part here with the Batman Cowl encased in it. Now, you know, the idea is to have it in scale, but the problem is with such a small base and the character, we really don't want to focus too much on the base itself, you know, having this huge big, you know, piece with her there. I kind of want to keep it a little bit smaller, but you get the idea that it's frozen and stuff. So that's what I came up with, and I guess what I'll do is I'll just start getting this casted up. We'll come back and see how it looks attaching it. Alright guys, so I made the mold. Well, it was just a little tinfoil thing, and as you can see, it's still kind of curing at the moment. But I'm going to have to actually shape it a little bit more, and kind of, but because the tin foil, I got all this little ice looking stuff in there, and then I threw a couple pieces in the back to fill it up a little bit more, and one piece had some blue on tint in it, so I got a little bit of a tinting blue in there, which is kind of cool. So the idea is it's going to be like on the base like this, or somewhere around it, so I got to kind of shape it up a little bit more. It's kind of hard to see and everything in there, but the idea that the cowl and the cape is kind of, you know, frozen. So it's kind of cool, but gotta let it cure some more, and once it's all said and done, I can start shaping it all up. Okay guys, so my next step is how to get this onto the base and where. So I've been toying around with some ideas, and I think I'm going to put it like around here, somewhere like here in front, because I don't want it to hit the legs. I want to make sure the legs and everything go in and out of the base no problem. And I want to attach it to the base really good. Now, like I said, the ideal thing would be, you know, sculpt it all first, make a mold, and then, you know, copy. But, you know, we're doing this as a custom one-off and coming up with some different ideas. So, what I'm going to do is, I made a black line here. I'm going to sand this down, Dremel it out, and then I'm going to put it here to the base. And then I'm going to sculpt onto it. So, what I'm going to do is when I paint it, it's going to be like, you know, a frosty white going up to the clear with some blue, so it's going to kind of like blend in and attach to the base that way. I think that's my best option. But you know, it's I got to shape this up a little bit more, sand down the back of this and everything, and just have the cowl and everything going. So this is kind of cool that I put these pieces here, because that'll stop it from going too far and hitting the legs and everything. So that's kind of what I came up with. And then I got some more of these pieces here, so I'll probably add some onto the back, maybe around here, so it's going to be like kind of a whole icy frosty thing going around her. So that's what I came up with, and we'll go into the freezing garage, drill up, and then we'll start attaching. Okay guys, so as you saw, what I started doing was I started using glue. I would glue the pieces on, and then from there what I would use is my zip kicker or Insta-Set and make sure it's set and it's together. Now you can actually, you know, just glue the pieces on, but they don't blend well, plus the glue is not going to keep them that strong. That's just to help me to keep them on and then use the Magic Sculpt around it. Now the reason why I use the Magic Sculpt is because when I move it around, it gives me the idea of some snow and frostiness and stuff. So the goal is paint the base black first when it's ready to go, and then I'll start painting the frost, the white frost, and blend it into these pieces, and then hit these pieces with some blue. And I won't mind about overspraying on the black when I paint it black with the white, because that'll give an idea that it's frosty and it works out well. So that's kind of the whole goal. Okay, so now I'm going to start clearing up the ice, which is a clear coat with some blue tint, and it gives you an idea. So the back one is kind of clearing up now. It was a little bit white like these pieces of the sand, but once you start clearing it up with some clear paint or gloss coats, it actually starts taking that away and it gives it that frostiness. So I was just doing some tests. Now I'm actually using Alclad gloss lacquer, which is the Aqua Gloss Clear ALC 600, and what I do is I like this Badger paint, so I put a couple drops in there so I mix up a little batch. And by doing that, it's kind of like a stronger gloss coat than the actual Future 4 polish, because the Future 4 polish is really, really glossy. This is kind of glossy but it protects it too, and I've tested this on a couple other clear pieces, and I like the way this comes out better. So what I'll be doing is using a blow dryer, and I'll be doing that paint and kind of just, frosting up the clear with a little bit of a blue tint, and it's going to be a little bit, clearer and not as frosty now as the whiteness, and it actually secures it too. But with this gloss coat, you have to actually let it sit for like 6 to 8 hours. So this is something I'll do it up, let it sit for a while, and come back and we'll finish painting up the white. Now, with the cape that's there, it's all messed up, and doing the white paint, I don't mind that the white paint will actually like overspray on this, because that's the idea. It's like frostiness, and you get a little bit of frostiness on the cape and everything, and it works out good that way. And I want to make sure I'm doing all these clear pieces first, and then when I start doing the frosty stuff, it'll just kind of blend in together and have some fun. So you'll see me in the video going fast with the paint and then the blow dryer, the paint and the blow dryer. You got to make sure you don't overheat the pieces, because they can actually start warping and melting. But I want to make sure I'm actually drying it where it's not bleeding or running off with the paint. So it's kind of like you got to go back and forth as a medium, that not overheating it but drying it as you go. It's back and forth. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's get that going. Okay guys, so this is pretty much the base. So as I was painting, what you saw was I sprayed here and then I would wipe my finger across it. So it would give me a little bit of a frostiness over here, but like a clear area there. So it just gives it like ice and frostiness and all that. So we got the cowl torn up, I glued it down some, and I let it be messy, and I let the paint get on there just because the cowl's just dirty, it's frosty, it's got snow on it, and just let it, just be messed up. It's the idea. So as you can pretty much see, it's all done. So it's like she's standing on some snow under her. Some frost pieces are coming up, icicles, and it just runs with her. So she's just came out pretty cool. So I enjoyed it, a lot of fun. It's something that you can do where you're taking clear pieces and you're mixing and matching them, and you're getting them in without actually having to sculpt it from scratch and then make a mold and cast it up. You could kind of do it a different way. So it's kind of like all blended in here a little bit now, going into here and everything. So that's pretty cool. So what we'll do is we'll get a nice 360 video of her up and explain everything I did to her. But that is how I do the base. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.